Courtrooms are often considered to be incredibly secure, with officers lurking around every corner. However, regardless of this, there have been some incredible courtroom escapes that have been caught on camera. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more great videos. This daring escape was captured on video in September of 2020. Nicholas Garrison was arrested for felony possession charges and was scheduled to appear in court for sentencing. The footage shows Nicholas walking into the courtroom and immediately fleeing from officers who were holding him captive. Several additional officers attempt to capture the man, but he makes a break for it, leaving through another courtroom door. One of the officers in charge of Nicholas attempted to grab him as he ran down a staircase, but he was pulled over the railing, falling down the remaining stairs. This was a serious fall that sent the officer to the hospital after he suffered multiple broken ribs, though he is expected to make a full recovery. Nicholas successfully escaped the court building and went into hiding immediately after. If he had proceeded with his sentencing, he would have only received a maximum of 1 year in prison. Though due to his cooperation throughout the trial, it's likely his sentencing would have been far less. It's crazy that he chose to press his luck like this when his sentencing was almost guaranteed to be fairly reasonable. A man from Louisville, Kentucky was caught on a court camera system attempting to escape after being sentenced. This man had been sent to jail following a domestic violence charge. He was soon taken to court to be sentenced for the crime, but was satisfied with the outcome of the trial. As officers are leading him out of the courtroom, he bolts for the door, breaking free from both officers. Though in just 3 seconds, the man is captured once again, being taken to the ground by one of the officers. Though his escape was not successful, he certainly made quite an impact on the judge and those who were watching the cases that day. As he's on the ground, he continues to fight off the officers, pushing one of them in the face. The officers begin shouting for a taser when the man finally gives up and is, once again, arrested. He would have likely have only served a minor sentence for the domestic violence charges. However, he'll now be facing additional charges for attempting to flee and for assaulting an officer. This courtroom escape was filmed in Russia. The man in question was being put on trial after he took the life of his sister. According to the criminal, he had been coerced by Satan to become a violent criminal. He was apprehended by police and admitted to the crime, with him being sent to jail immediately while awaiting trial. When his trial finally came, he repeatedly taunted officers while sitting inside of a cage in the courtroom. Cages like this are typically only used for the most violent offenders in the world, so it makes sense that they would have him locked away during his hearing. However, the man was quite thin and was able to squeeze in between the bars of the cage. He first tried to escape through the door, but when he was unable to do so, he broke through the top of the cage. He attempted to flee through the ceiling, but an officer grabbed onto his leg and held him while backup was called. He was tased and apprehended, now facing a longer prison sentence. This case involved a man named Rayton Woodford. He appeared in court after he was found in possession of an illegal substance as well as a weapon. He was found guilty, but the courts had mercy on him and allowed him to leave on probation. This wasn't good enough for Rayton, and he eventually broke his probation agreement, leading to him once again being taken to trial. While in the courtroom to hear his sentence, a witness is called to the stand. After the witness has answered his questions, he leaves the witness chair, though the judge never moved the camera from the chair. While the camera is locked in position, the judge reads Rayton's sentence. Immediately afterward, the man makes a run for it as the judge can be heard in the background calmly shouting, "Oh, come on."
Come on. Lock the door back there.
After a few moments, he's arrested and brought back into the courtroom, heading into police custody to face additional charges. This footage was published by A&E in a segment of their court cam series. 4 teenagers had been spending time in a juvenile court facility while they awaited their transfer to an adult prison. The teens were facing a variety of charges, with one having been found guilty of taking the life of another person. In the footage, you can see the teens coming around the corner in one of the building's hallways. They appear to be wearing security vests, which they had found in the basement of the building after they had been left unattended during a cleanup session. As they make their way through the halls, they head up a staircase onto the main floor of the building. They immediately make a break for the front door of the facility, running without any of the guards or staff noticing. It seemed as though this was simply a crime of opportunity, but the police soon realized that they had help from the outside. 2 people were arrested for helping the teens escape, and all 4 of the teens were located soon after the escape, leading to additional charges. This escape takes place in the same facility as the previous one. The footage was filmed just 2 years prior and details a similar escape attempt that was committed by another teen. We aren't sure what's going on in this facility, but it seems like they could use some increased security measures. Who knows what could happen if a truly violent criminal makes an escape from this place? When watching the footage, you can see staff from the facility tracking him as he attempts to crawl across the ceiling tiles. Several members are on duty, waiting to capture him when he inevitably falls through the tiles. It doesn't take long for the metal beams to give away, sending one of his feet falling through the ceiling. He continues to crawl as the guards are leaping and grabbing for his feet. He makes his way a bit further, but eventually falls through a tile, crashing onto the ground below. The guards jump on him and arrest him, likely leading to additional charges and a much longer prison sentence. This footage is incredibly concerning, as it shows how easily a courtroom escape can be when inmates are held in a crowded area. The man in the video had recently been sentenced and was being taken by officers into a holding area. However, the area was supposedly very crowded, allowing the criminal to hide in a small corridor as officers were distracted. He waited for a moment, then turned around and walked through the courtroom doors once again. He made his way through the courtroom, removing his shirt before exiting so he could cover up the handcuffs on his wrist. He then calmly walks out of the building, leaving his prison-issued shoes behind him as he escapes. He walks throughout the courthouse, exiting the front door. When officers realized he had escaped, they tracked him a short distance away and arrested him once again. A deputy on the scene of the escape called the mishap human error, explaining that cameras were not able to see the man as he hid in the corridor. This terrifying video shows how a convicted criminal was able to easily escape a courtroom after he had been sentenced for a very serious crime. The man was able to remove his prison jumpsuit and free himself from handcuffs in just a few short seconds. An officer tried to catch him, but the man had already exited the room and made his way toward an exit door. He ran through the building and escaped through an emergency door where a getaway car was waiting for him. He hopped in the car and fled the scene before officers were able to pursue the vehicle. He managed to remain free for a short time before police discovered his location, leading to his arrest and the arrest of 8 others who helped him flee. They'll all be facing criminal charges for their help in the case, but we don't know how severe their sentences may be. A 48-year-old father of 5, Shelby Meyer, managed to escape a courthouse after he had been sentenced to a series of crimes. Police were tipped off that Shelby may have been treating his children poorly, resulting in his arrest and eventual conviction in the case. As he was being led from the courtroom by an officer, he and the officer stepped onto an elevator. As the door was closing, the man burst through and made a run for it. He managed to break free from the officer and continued running out the front door of the courthouse. Police tracked down his girlfriend and asked for help, but quickly learned that she faced multiple charges as well. She was arrested immediately. They found Shelby hiding in a homeless shelter more than a mile from the courthouse. He was taken into custody once again. This case is unique because there do not appear to have been any officers present in the courtroom when this escape took place. Tanner Jacobson and Cody Howard were facing a variety of charges when they saw an opportunity to escape. They ran through the courtroom doors and headed toward an emergency staircase. With no officers nearby, the judge leapt from his podium and chased after the suspects. He followed them down to the staircase and captured one of the men as he made his way through an exit door. 2 officers were then called to the scene, apprehending the second escapee just a few moments later.